Hey everyone, it's Aesah, and welcome to my guide on item economy fundamentals. I wrote this guide, and if you prefer reading it, you can check it out on the guide section up here on the TFT coaching webpage. But for those of you who prefer a video version, I figured I would just go over it in a video real quickly. So item economy basically means using your components efficiently. Oftentimes, that might mean not building the best possible item you have because it uses valuable components. So for this example, I'm going to use Renata reroll. I made a guide on Renata reroll recently, so you can check that out as well. But basically, you want to prioritize Shojin, Nashers, and Archangel. So note that out of this build for Renata, you want 2 tiers. So in this scenario, I frequently see players take belt to complete Nashers immediately, which will give you tempo. However, since you're rerolling, you will still be level 4 and you're likely to lose to level 5 players anyway. So you don't really need the immediate tempo from the Nashers right away. Because you need 2 tiers, I would just take a tier here and not make an item. So this is another example from a different game. This is just frontline, backline balance. So here you could take bow and you would have your full Renata build, but you don't have any frontline items at all. So in this scenario, I would take a frontline item. Although the Nashers is very, very important in this comp, it's pretty likely that you will get dropped more damage components. For example, any swords, any bows, gloves, or rods oftentimes tend to be used for damage. Rod and glove can be used for frontline, but sword and bow are basically purely damage. So if you get dropped sword bow, for example, you can still put that on Renata. I guess if you get bow, you will have Nashers, but let's say you get sword. Um, you can you can still put those offensive items on Renata and then move them later with the removers. But your stage 4 will be a lot weaker if you have a 3-item best in slot Renata, but you don't have good cinch items. It'll be a lot stronger if you have a pretty good Renata. Again, you have Shojin Archangel already, even if your third item's not exactly Nashers, but you have like a strong cinch, that's going to be a lot more important. So this is another example. This is on stage 4, and you can see in this example we have our full Renata build, and we're looking for a singed item. So Crown Guard is quite a lot better than second Stone Plate. We already have Shiv, so we don't need Spark. Either way, Crown Guard would probably be the best item we can make here by a lot. However, if we make Crown Guard, we have a Cloak left over. So basically, item economy here is making sure we're left over with a good component. Because if we're left over with Cloak, it's going to be really, really, really hard to get value from it. It would probably be best used as adaptive on Vex, but that's a much, much weaker option than just making the Stone Plate on the Singe, and then we save the Rod, which can be anti-heal. We really want Morello. And if not, it can just be like a third damage item on Vex since we're already 2-item on Vex. But basically, here we just want to save our key components. So this one is pretty straightforward. I think most people already do this, but in this scenario, we have 4 total components. So by this, I simply mean you want to make 2 decent items instead of like 1 useless item and 1 really good item. So again, most of you guys probably already do this, but the best possible item you can make in this scenario would be Shojin. However, if you do that, you're left over with Hurricane, which is pretty much completely useless. So it's much better to do 2 decent items. And again, I look at this and the Cloak is the hardest item to use. So I would make Adaptive. Then I'm left over with a Bow. And I can see what can I build here. I already have Anti-Heal and Shred, so I would just make Adaptive and Giant Slayer. As opposed to making Shojin your best item and then having Hurricane. 2 decent items is going to be better than 1 great item and 1 bad item. There are situations where you might just want 1 best item. For example, if I were missing a Shojin on Renata, in this case, I would just take Sword. I would just take Sword, make the Shojin, and then be left for the Hurricane. Just because the best in slot Renata is so important. One more thing, I picked this board as an example because Renata is very, very item dependent. She really, really wants her best in slot. But in some other comps, it kind of doesn't really matter that much. Academy Sentinel is a really good example where you can use AD items and AP items the Academy trait will just give you extra items. So because of that, you're likely to itemize multiple carries. So making weaker items earlier in the game for tempo is going to be a lot better because not having best in slot on one of your multiple carries is not going to be as big of a deal because they're not responsible for all of your damage. That's going to wrap it up on this video for item economy. If you have any questions, let me know in the Discord, and thanks for watching.